Just having Brock drop back to pass. I mean, yesterday, literally, Bengals were sending free rushers at him. It was amazing that the Niners were in that game as long as they were. They got dominated on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball by the Bengals, and Brock found a way through 3 quarters to keep them in that game. Now he threw 2 disaster picks, as the second one especially, that obviously had a huge impact in them losing. But he also was going to be the reason they won. So let's not forget what he did in the first 3 quarters, because he had a disaster fourth quarter. And by the way, these people that will sit there and tell you this has never happened before. Tom Brady in his second year took 4 losses in a row and threw 7 picks in those 4 losses. I'm not saying this guy's Tom Brady, but let's all pump the brakes on the, Brock ain't him. He ain't the guy. Okay, even if you were right, who is the guy? It's not Trey Lance. He's gone. It's not Sam Darnold. It's not Brandon Allen. So what are you saying? Are you saying that they have no quarterback and they have to go start fresh and look for a new guy? Personally, I think that might be a little knee-jerk. I think Brock is clearly the best quarterback they do have. I think this bumps in the road were inevitable. They were going to come. I mean, this guy has played some incredible football. Now, all the talk about him being MVP of the league, okay. That was people getting excited.
People are such ass kissers, and they're just looking for a new name to talk about. And here's the thing, the way that we have, just hosts looking for attention, dominating conversations. It's absurd to think that Brock Purdy was about to be the MVP of the NFL. It was fucking. But
it's also, he is their best option. Can we all agree on that?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. To me, that's not even worth addressing. He's a starting NFL quarterback,
and then all of a sudden, you can't go from this guy was, wow, they found this guy in the 7th round, to now this guy has to play perfect football for them to win. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. I mean, they're not running the ball. They're not stopping the run. They are a sieve on defense. If they had won yesterday, and Brock had played, 4 awesome quarters, he would have been the reason number 1, 2, and 3 that they won the game. He's played incredible in his starts so far in his career. He plays poorly in the fourth quarter of, a couple games in a row, and now people are just out there celebrating. He's terrible. He's this. He accounted for 422 yards and was running for his life. This offensive line's not doing their job. This run game can't get it done. This D-line is not getting home. This secondary is not covering anybody. None of those things have anything to do with Brock Purdy. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve blame for those picks. He does, and will take it and wear it, and he's not running from it. But let's not pretend that they have better options. They're just not going to. They don't.
We also have an overzealous, overinvested, trying to tell you this guy can't play. So the minute he makes a mistake, the knives come out much more than the pom-poms ever came out. Look at it this way. Brock Purdy started his career essentially devoid of a learning curve. He was really, 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 really good right out of the gate. And that still wasn't good enough for a certain segment of 49ers fans. No, he was playing great, experienced, like he's been in the league several years. Yesterday he started his 17th game, Larry. So 1 season of football with a modern 17-game schedule is all Brock Purdy has started. Oh, and he's already also won 2 postseason games. But that's not good enough for anyone. Now, let me just tell you this right now. Peyton Manning, his rookie year, his first 16 games, he threw 28 interceptions.
Right.
Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions. You got a whole bunch of people who don't understand, A, how hard the game is, B, NFL history, learning curves, growing pains. Like, you all thought that Trey Lance was going to be selected, and because he went so high in the draft, you are on your knees glory holing the guy, double hand job blow jobs for a guy who hadn't done nothing, because you really like where he was drafted. Well, You didn't like where Brock was drafted from. And as he is proving so early in his career that he is cut out for the job, it's still not good enough. It's not good enough.
I mean, believe me, the interceptions they threw yesterday absolutely had a huge hand in them losing. If you think I'm making excuses for him, I'm not. And he's not the kind of guy that makes excuses for himself. And
So
nobody's making excuses for anybody.
Damon's comparing Brock to Peyton Manning. No, I am not comparing Brock to Peyton Manning. But you didn't even know that Peyton Manning had 28 touchdowns and 28 interceptions in his rookie year. 28 interceptions is more than he turned it over 5 times over a 3-game stretch.
But what's the solution? I mean, okay, you're right. People would say, he's turned it over 5 times over a 3-game stretch. Okay, you're right. And what's right? You got a better, anybody can demolish the kitchen. Somebody takes a carpenter to, build it up. Anybody can tear somebody down. It's hard to have a better, people want guys fired, but Shanahan's got to be fired. Okay, well, who do you got? Well, I don't know if I got.
No, he also just got an extension. So why don't you just go howl at the moon? Because that ain't happening.
This quarterback's not good enough, and I told you. And it's like, you know what? Just everybody pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. The reality is, he's had 2 bad fourth quarters in a row. He had completed 84% of his passes in that Minnesota game, going to the fourth quarter. In this game, he was the reason they were still in it going to the fourth quarter, and then he threw 2 bad picks.
Career high 365 passing yards, the most of any Niner quarterback since 2019. A career high 57 rushing yards. Now, if you want to say 69 of those yards were total fugazi, last 2 plays of the game, you're right.
Some of those yards are bogus.
Right. Some of those yards are bogus, but they're still those yards. They happened.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I think they really have a guy. I think they've got a guy that they can go with going forward. But he can't necessarily do it all himself. And you got to have some O-line, and you got to have some running game. You got to have some defense. And right now, the equation, Brian Billick said it to Fitz and Brooks years ago, and I used to love those segments. And he said, you know what? The thing that's so hard to evaluate in football, it's evaluating the quarterback versus what's going on around the quarterback. So when great things are happening around the quarterback looks awesome. And when bad things are going on around the quarterback looks bad. And then it's like, is the quarterback bad, or is the what's going on around him eroding? Well, I mean, there's no doubt. The 49ers, the last couple of weeks, Brock, obviously, turnovers, he's got to eradicate them, especially in the fourth quarter. But they're not running the ball. They're not stopping the run. That's where it all starts. They're getting beat on the line of scrimmage. Nick Bosa is getting paid a boatload of money. He's not doing jack. And don't tell me, and believe me, I was on the binoculars up in the press box yesterday. Don't tell me, well, he's getting doubled. Bullshit. He's not getting doubled. I've watched him every play. He's not getting doubled.
He's not taking over games.
He's not getting home. Drake Jackson's a great guy. He's not getting anything done. This coverage on the back end is soft, really soft. And when you have soft coverage and you go up against a team like Dallas that's really impatient, they don't know how to take advantage of it. But when you go up against Kirk Cousins and you got soft coverage, he carves you up. It's just like boom, 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 boom.
Stafford.
You go up against Joe Burrow, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
That's what happens. So that's what we're seeing. And it's like, we can get all yell and scream about Brock and this, and Brock's not the guy and this and that. And he may not be the guy, but he's the best guy they got for sure. And he's played well in 6 quarters and played poorly in 2 over the last 2 games.
Here's the thing. So, if I can quote Gene Hackman from Hoosiers, your team is on the floor. This is your team. You're not changing defensive coordinators here at the bye. Steve Wilkes is not about to be fired. And if you were to do that, who's his replacement? Brock Purdy isn't going anywhere. Brock Purdy, without injury, is going to be the 49ers quarterback for the next 6 to 8 years. So buckle the fuck up and get ready for the ride, folks. That's what's going to happen.